Dear friends, welcome to America House. My name is Tanya Strelchenko. I'm America House Kyiv director, and it's such an honor and privilege for me to be your host for tonight. Tonight, we have a very special event and a very special guest, our guest of honor, William Paul Clark, who will talk about leading iconic film sets. If you don't mind, firstly, thank you for coming. This is such an honor and privilege to have you.
Privileged to be here. Thank you for hosting this event.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, William, I will read a little bit about your biography so that the audience knows all about you, okay? So, William Paul Clark is a film and television assistant director and producer with over 80 credits across major studio productions. The projects he has worked on has collectively grossed over $2 billion worldwide. Over the course of his career, he has collaborated with a wide range of internationally recognized filmmakers, including Quentin Tarantino, Sylvester Stallone, Barry Levinson, and others, contributing to films ranging from independent features to large-scale studio productions. So please join me in welcoming William to America House Kyiv.
Again, hello again. Okay.
And if I may, I also have a question to our audience. Who is here? Who is the student of any film industry, acting? Raise your hand. So many of you, cool. So you see, we have a lot of really interested participants tonight, and I'm sure this event will be useful for you guys. So please be active. If you have questions, raise your hand. I will tell you when we are opening our questions and answers session. Our colleagues will have a mic, so please make sure you ask your questions to our special guest. William, what are you doing in Ukraine, and how has been your experience in Kyiv so far? I know that you've been here for a while, so what can you share about your experience here?
I've been in and out a little bit since September, and you know, it's really a remarkable experience to watch the resilience of the Ukrainian people, students and adults, students and regular people. You know, you have a difficult evening with drones and missiles, and you get out there again at 7:30 in the morning, and you walk the streets, and the flower shops are open. The people are walking the streets, and everybody's just a little tired, but it's like nothing happened. And that's really a testament to the fortitude of the Ukrainian people.
And you were here during some winter months, so you also experienced a little bit of, I think, probably the most challenging winter we had here in Ukraine. So.
I took a couple of headers. You know, the sidewalks are quite treacherous. Fortunately, I don't have a car, so I'm able to be here today. But in Ukraine, I have one in Los Angeles. Much easier to drive in Los Angeles. No snow. There's never snow. But yeah, some of the sidewalks have been more challenging than the air raids.
More dangerous, exactly. Can't agree more. Tonight we will talk, of course, about your filmmaking career, but also maybe a little bit, there will be a little bit more philosophical questions about film industry in general. I know that you started your career like in a very interesting way. There were a lot of, I would say, even destiny moments, you know, a lot of car accidents from what I read in the interview you gave. Can you share the story of how you even entered the career of filmmaking?
I had gone to university in Boston, Massachusetts, and I studied history, and just because I loved history, and I figured I would never get a chance to study it again, but with the intention of going into finance because I wanted to make a lot of money. And I did that. You know, I graduated on a Thursday, and the following Monday started at a big brokerage firm in Boston called Smith Barney Harrison Upham, and it was before computers, I'm sorry to say. So a full-service broker was a valuable commodity to wealthy people. And I did quite well. It was, you know, I'm 22 years old, and things are good, and but I quickly learned that many of the people I was trying to be like were criminals. You know, they were not, Wolf of Wall Street, or Greed is Good, the Michael Douglas movie. That's what it was. So I quit, and I moved to California, kind of on a whim. A couple of college friends said they were moving to Venice Beach. I said, I'll come. And in the first couple of months of being living in Venice Beach, California, I was spending a lot of time at the beach next to the Pink Hotel, because groups of girls like to go stay at the Pink Hotel. So I would go down to the little bar next to the Pink Hotel on the Venice boardwalk. And a film started shooting in front of that bar where I was going every day. And I just watched. It was White Men Can't Jump, which actually screened here just a couple Saturdays ago. And I know exactly where I was as we're watching that opening scene. I was sitting right there watching in awe what was happening, because I didn't know that, I was figure you go to work in a suit and a tie, you take the train or, whatever it is and you make a living. And here's these people in shorts and a t-shirt on the beach, and they're making movies. It never even occurred to me that this is something. And I watched Ron Shelton, the director. I watched him very carefully, and I also watched the assistant director, who I didn't know was the assistant director at the time. I had to ask, who's that guy? Because he's the guy, he's the ringleader, he's running the circus. Ultimately, the director is kind of sitting off into the side. He's making the decisions, but if you watch a movie set, it looks like the assistant director is really running everything. Really, he's just the grease of the wheel, of all the wheels, that have to move. It's the lubrication to make sure that they all run together and in unison, so they're all achieving the same goal. And I'm like, I think I want to try this. And I was about to start a job with the Los Angeles Clippers in their corporate sales department. And I called, it was a long interview process. It was 3-4 interviews. And I called them. I said, no, thank you. And they're like, what? Are you nuts? And I said, yeah. And so for the next 2-3 years, I didn't make any money. And I tried to start making movies. It was a challenging time and great. Yeah, and I think the car accident you're referring to is I got a little fender bender in my Volkswagen on my way to an interview for an internship in the Valley. I'm going from Venice Beach. If you're looking at the map, Venice Beach is down here, and Studio City, where the meeting was there. So you had to take like 2 separate buses on the 405 and the 101 to get to public transportation. So I had to take public transportation. So it gave me the opportunity to read the want ads, and I saw another want ad, same company, same typeface, and they were offering a paying position. So with my sales background, selling stocks, asking people for, $10,000 minimum investment, I brought that ad in. I said, is this you guys? And they said, yeah. So I'll tell you what, I'll do this job for free and the other job for free. In exchange, all you have to do is give me a job on the set also for free. And it was an independent movie, wasn't, and they're like, that sounds pretty good to us. Yeah, we'll abuse you. And so they did. And it was a magical picture. Was called Frozen Assets. It was Siskel and Ebert's worst movie of the year of 1992. But it was, it felt all very natural to me, and it was like I was home. And it really, there were people who had worked on movies before and, complaining, oh, no, they're not telling us this, they're not telling. I'm like, well, isn't the camera looking that way? So shouldn't we take care of this? Things just seemed normal and natural to me that some people just struggled with. And for me, it was never a struggle.
So just to summarize, you were on the beach, you saw this beautiful image of people dressed in shorts, and you decided that this dress code fits me well. I want to try myself. So mesmerized by this beautiful image of people making movies, you tried your career there.
It
How
was more really the living, breathing
breathing
organism of the set, the way,
it
you know,
all
and it spreads out, you know, and it went back to the base. I walked, you know, to the base camp and looked at that and watched how they got the people to and from, you know, all the extras and the background specialists, I call them. And, you know, where the art department parked to bring their things, and when they left at night, how they wrapped it out, then brought it all back the next morning. It was just all of it, the whole
breathing.
living, breathing
Breathing
organism, I
organism.
like to call it, of a movie set was intriguing and inspiring.
And then there were years of low budget films, right? Independent films. And how did it happen that you started working with Quentin Tarantino?
That was also quite lucky. I had, it all happened pretty quickly, really. In 1993, the Frozen Assets, the White Man Can't Jump, I saw that. That was 1991. And then Pulp Fiction came in the fall of 1993. And I hadn't seen Reservoir Dogs. And I was not a film, you know, I was you know, hey, let's go to the movies. Cool. You know, that was my knowledge of film. I wasn't a student of film. I wasn't, you know, well versed in any of it. I've become quite a different person now, and largely because of not only working on the films, but the people that I work with. You know, you don't want to look like an idiot in front of these people. So you do your research, you know, when you're going to go do a kung fu movie, you go watch some of the best kung fu movies and you read about the making of the kung fu. So I educated myself along the way. And then, I mean, Quentin Tarantino in particular is a walking, talking encyclopedia of film and television, cinema, not only on screen, but business and everything about it. So you just sit and listen, and you expand your knowledge tremendously. So when it came to Pulp Fiction, I was out to dinner with for a friend of mine's birthday. I had actually just done a very low budget film in Provincetown, Massachusetts as the first AD. It was the first time. And I happened to be sitting next to a man named Paul Hellerman. It's 6 people at dinner, it wasn't big. And Paul was the line producer on what he called a small film. And they had this was before cell phones, he had learned the day before that his second, which is a third assistant director, was in a car accident.
Another car
accident, and he needed somebody to fill in for him for 2 weeks. And I was like, Paul, you know, I'm really kind of a first AD now, but you know, if it's since you're a friend of Eric's and if it's going to help you out, I'd love to help. And he's like, okay, can you be at this address, again in the Valley, at 7 a.m. on Monday morning? I said, yeah. So I showed up on the set to meet the first AD, Sam Mahoney, and the second AD, Kelly Kiernan. And the set was Pulp Fiction. And, you know, I had been on, about that time, 10 sets, worked on 10, 12 movie sets, but you felt something completely different on that set. It was, you know, first off, a young, I think Quentin was 28, vibrant, you know, running around, you know, and now we're going to do this, and then, you know, we're going to do that, you know, and then, oh, we're going to go here, it's going to be great, you know, I'm like, this is cool, you know, and there's John Travolta and Sam Jackson, that's cool too, and because it was the junkyard scene, if anybody's seen the movie, it was the junkyard scene was that first encounter. And so I did that for 2 weeks, and then it was Labor Day, And the cameraman, Andre Sekula, went to New Mexico with his girlfriend, and he got into a car accident.
Another car accident. The third.
And he drove off a cliff and broke his legs. And so the set medic was Kelly Kiernan, who was also the second assistant director. So they call me up again. They say, hey, Kelly, we sent Kelly to New Mexico to go help Andre and to bring him back, and we're going to keep shooting. We're going to use Vance, our gaffer, and Mike, our camera operator, and we're going to keep going because we don't have money. We got to can't just hang out. You got to shoot. Would you come be the second AD? So now I'm the second AD. I'm like, okay. So I came, and for that week I was the second AD, and everything was great, and I got a raise, and now I'm the second AD, and it was fun, and it was great. And then Kelly and Andre came back, and I thought I was done again. And that Monday morning, I get another call. And they're like, hey, how come you're not here? I'm like, Friday was my last day again. Yeah, I know, well, Paul wants to talk to you. Come on in. So I went back to the office. I'm like, what's up, fellas? And they're like, because we didn't shoot the Tuesday after Labor Day, we have to combine the two. We have to take a day out of the schedule ultimately. So we're going to shoot one day where we have to shoot in Culver City, we have to shoot in the Hollywood Hills, and we have to shoot in downtown Los Angeles. One scene in each location. Not big scenes, but there's scenes, and this is Bruce Willis and Maria de Medeiros. This is Ving Rhames and Uma Thurman, and this is John and Sam. So we'd like you to production manage that day. Find out what we need, figure out how to achieve it, and make it happen. So now I'm the production manager. So I was third AD, second AD. Now I'm the production manager for that day. And so I spent the week just getting information and putting a plan together, talking with the first AD, talking with Quentin. And, everybody was expecting a 16-hour day. And was one of our shortest days. It went like clockwork. And at the end of that day, they said, we don't know what to call you, but just stay. Just stay for the rest of the movie. Would you mind stay? We got Jackrabbit Slims coming up next week. Would you stay for the rest of the movie? I'm like, shit, yeah, I'd be happy to stay. This is great because those are also very fun. Everybody was very young, and Friday night was a very important night for all of us, and we took advantage of it. And and you're hanging with Uma, and what could be bad? So I happily stayed for the rest, for the next 5 weeks to finish the rest of the picture through Jackrabbit Slims in the end, and that was that. And when Jackie Brown came around, I got the call to be the first AD, which was just a couple years later, and I had been in the business now for 6 years. The first day at Jackie Brown, the key grip comes up to me and looks at me and goes, "You're the first AD?" Because I looked younger, even, I was 30, but I looked like I was 17. And he's like,
when was this?
This is from the picture Frozen Assets. Mm-hmm. This is 1991 in the fall, in the summer in Portland, Oregon. On the set, that's John Foote. Mm-hmm. He was the prop man. And I don't know, he just sent that to me not long ago. And I'm like, wow, I don't have any pictures like that. That was what happened.
We promised to show you more photos, some cool pictures and also images prepared by William tonight. I do have a question, like a very simple, maybe a little bit silly question. Can you just share what responsibilities the AD would have? Like there is second AD, right? And then second AD, like there are three usually?
In Europe, it's typically called third AD.
Third. Mm-hmm.
In America, they call it second. Mm-hmm. A second is, it's not second, it's the second assistant director. But really third makes kind of more sense rather than having a second assistant director, but that's what we call it there. And then the first assistant director, so they all work for me typically. And what the first assistant director does is initially we'll get the script. We'll get a script and we'll take the script and we'll number the script. So to differentiate each of the scenes accordingly, break down all of the elements in the script, the actors, the background, the vehicles, the props, the special effects, the visual effects, every element that's in every scene in the movie, and we'll break it down so we understand what elements are needed for which scenes, and then work very closely with the cameraman and the director of photography, and the cameraman, the DOP, I guess people call it, DOP, or I call it the cameraman, and the director, and obviously the producers and the production manager, line producer, who have to pay for everything, but work to make sure we put it into a package that makes it achievable, and as linear as possible, while still, you don't want to go, if there's 5 scenes at a diner throughout the course of the movie, you're not going to go back and forth to the diner. You're going to stay at the diner, you're going to shoot the diner. So you got to make it, and then there's the actors, they're getting the big money, so you don't want to spread them out over the course of the movie. If they're only working 15 days of a 70-day schedule, you want to try to keep those 15 days as compact as possible. So you'd have to take the elements of the practical elements, the personal elements, the pragmatic elements, and put together in a plan to achieve the goal of completing the film. And then when you get onto the set, you're responsible for the management of the day. You manage the day to make sure you achieve everything you have to achieve. You tell everybody what time to come to work. You set a time to finish, and you try to hit that time. And when you don't, it's your problem. And then we're also in charge of safety. If people get hurt, it's us who get in trouble. When
with all those car accidents, as we know.
I was, most of them I wasn't there. There's other people that I just took advantage of that. Yeah, so there's a lot of different elements, and the biggest thing really also is communicating all of these things and all of the reasons and all of the things that we're going to do, what the director wants to achieve, how the director is going to achieve it, how the cameraman is looking to achieve it through locations and art department and this, making sure, a lot of what I do is listening to people, communicate with each other, because you're dealing with these massive egos. These are people with really big egos. And they think what they said was just heard by everybody. And I have so many times seen 2 people say completely different things to each other and start to walk away as if they were in complete agreement. And I'm like, wait a second, fellas. Wait. Come on back here. You said this and you said that. No, you didn't say that. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, no, oh. And then we figure it out. So everybody's on the same page. That's really that's what creates the grease, is the communication between all of the departments and making sure all of these departments are getting the right information and communicating the right information so everybody is moving towards the same goal at the right speed together.
It's almost not even conflict mitigation, but conflict prevention. It's even more difficult.
You have to see problems before they exist. Yeah. That's happens all the time. I'll be on set and I'll be listening to somebody saying something, and I'll see something going on over there, and I'll get one of my production assistants just says, find out what's up with Barbara. Something's up, just something. Do they not have teeth? Did they bring the wrong color bow? Just find out so we can, fix it, so we can help them fix it. And I'll see it. I won't know, but I'll see the face, or whatever it is. And we saw, I try to solve the problem before it happens. Every day.
And so if you may share with us this interesting story about, I think, Django Unchained, yes, this story about the tooth that
Well, yeah.
If I may ask you, because I think it's one of those moments when mistakes or unfortunate events lead to really creative, almost genius
And
solutions.
that happens quite a bit. You know, crisis, be it you know, a medical situation, which this was, money, you know, cost, you know, whatever it is that forces you to find a solution that was not initially there, often becomes, I've seen it a lot, I've seen it several times, better than what you had started with. So for young filmmakers, you know, appreciate crisis, accept crisis, and use it to your benefit, because it can turn out, it can make you think of something you hadn't thought of, something that may make the project, may make your story, may make the character that you're trying to develop better. You know, this crisis was given to you for a reason. Accept it, appreciate it, and use it. And in this specific circumstance on Django Unchained, Christoph Waltz, which had showed up for his first day of horse training, and he had been riding dressage for a long time back in Europe, and he got here. Yeah, here we are. I had just pulled up. I just pulled up to the training to make sure everything was cool. He's there. I see the trainers turn to me, you know, to greet me, and I'm like, oh, look at him. And sure enough, he does one of his dressage things to the horse, and the horse bucks him right off. And he had the saddle, you know, the Western saddle had kind of gotten him in the midsection there. And he's like, let me just sit. And I'm like, dude, I'm taking you to the hospital. Let me just take you, just quiet, you know, no big deal. Just get in my Prius and let me drive you on down to the hospital. We'll do it quietly, use a fake name, you know, and no big deal. And so I drove him to the local hospital, and you know, we're kind of laughing and whatnot, and we're fine, and we're in the back room, and everything seems fine. And then all of a sudden, boom! Turns out he had severed his artery, and he was bleeding out on the inside. So we quickly got him into surgery, and everything was fine. I stuck around, and it was good, but he couldn't ride a horse now for a couple of months. And the next day I was in the office with Quentin, and we're like, you know, we can't just stop. You know, we've got horse trainers, we've got stunt people, we've got art people, we've got all sorts of people already working, already getting paid. And you can't just stop, because you lose not only momentum, but money, lots of money. So we were able to push a couple of weeks to buy a little bit more time, but we still had to start shooting before he would be ready to get back on a horse. And you know, we don't know what to do. And we're just kind of just sitting in his office being sad, feeling bad for ourselves, and for, you know, worried about Christoph, obviously, too. But I said to Quentin, I'm like, you know, dude, what if, you know, what if he, you know, he had like a snake oil kind of, you know, they had these guys running around selling shit out of the back of a wagon so he could ride a wagon. And he's like, I know, that's, you know, he's a bounty hunter, you know, he's got to be horseback. He's got to be able to shoot people from the horse, and he's got to be cool. And, you know, and I left, and I'm like, what a stupid idea. I can't believe I said that to this fucking guy, you know. And the next day, Quentin comes in on the yellow ruled paper in quintaglyphic art style, because, you know, he draws like a child. I mean, he sketches things out to explain things, and it looks like, you know, it looks like he did it in crayon. You got one of those, right?
We'll show you. Yeah, 100% quantaglyphic.
Yeah, this is Hollywood Boulevard. This is Quintaglyphic's Hollywood Boulevard. How he wanted the theaters on Hollywood Boulevard, what movies he wanted in each of the theaters, which are exact to the date, and that's him. He loves the yellow lined paper, and he just draws like that. And the next day he comes in with that yellow lined paper, and he's like, he's a dentist, right? The guy, he's a dentist. So what if he's got a dental office in that cabin back there. He's got a dentist chair, so he can pull people's teeth in the back of the chair. And what if it's got a tooth on the top, on a spring, so everybody knows it's a dentist? And I'm like, that's great. And then Django can put the dynamite in the tooth when he blows out. And I'm like, that's great. That's great. That's a great, you know, and it was better than just him riding around that dentist
Absolutely
wagon.
genius.
That dentist wagon is now in a museum in Lone Pine, California, where we shot the opening sequence. You're the one I'm looking for. You named Django? And that's my daughter kept that jacket because I wound up going to set every day, and once that happened, I figured I'm not going to ruin every jacket. Just wore the same jacket every day. And I went to throw it out, and my daughter almost executed me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's disgusting." She's like, "No." So, yeah.
Incredible. So you do have we have a few images, I think, really interesting ones that Sasha, if you may share on the screen, and if you don't mind commenting on what it is and any stories behind those images.
This is the American flag.
Yes, we know about that one.
This is Pulp Fiction. That's the crew photo from Pulp Fiction. I think it says it on the bottom, Sasha. Does it not say it on the bottom, Pulp Fiction? Yeah, Pulp Fiction, 1993. Yeah, it's a little pixelated. There's Quentin, young Quentin and Bruce. And this is me right there. And this is Andre, the cameraman with the broken leg. There's the evidence of the broken leg to make sure I'm on the level. I'm telling the truth here, guys. And yeah, that's in the back alley where Bruce jumped into the cab with Esmeralda. There's Esmeralda there. And yeah, that's what we used as the crew photo. This is the set of Arlington Road. This picture was taken by Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges, whenever he makes a movie, he's a camera enthusiast. He's a photographer, and he likes with film, the panoramic, the lens goes, you know, with the film, and he puts together at the end of the movie books, and he issues them as gifts. He also gave me a nice big belt buckle, which I can't wear because it weighs as much as me. That's Jackie Brown. That's at prison. That's when Jackie Brown gets out of jail. You always need a picture coming out of jail. And so this is us coming out of jail after the end of a day. We're happy. That's Jackie Brown too. There's Sam, young Quentin, me, Lawrence Bender, produced all those early movies. And this is the costume department. This is Cambodia. This is on the set of a picture called City of Ghosts. Matt Dillon directed. Who's still a friend to this day, good man. And that's cameraman Jim Deneau, won a couple of awards. He's a great eye, great cameraman. And this was a very interesting movie because this is 2001. So the Khmer Rouge had just left. You know, they were out in 1996. So this was a really unusual experience because these people were still pretty traumatized. And, you know, the Khmer Rouge killed the teachers, killed the doctors, killed the lawyers, killed, you know, all the smart people. And so a lot of the young people had been hiding in farms and villages in the outskirts. So they were coming back into town, but, you know, they were new. So, you know, a lot of our crew was Thai, but we tried to teach many of the Cambodian people that wanted to work on the movie, ultimately, how to make a movie. And it was an interest. And then we also went to the West of the country, where I actually got in trouble because I always keep, always have my pens. I keep my pens, and I have, I like pens. I steal nice pens. And I had my pens in my pocket. And just so you know, if you go to Cambodia, silver or gold pens in your front pocket, the amount and the color says how high you are in the mafia or the hierarchy. Well, or the Khmer in the West was the Khmer Rouge. So I had this one Cambodian guy just go, and we had our UN guy was working with us. Andy Pendleton was working with us as a translator. He's like, "You got to take the pens out of your pocket, man." I'm like, "The pens out of my pocket?" He's like, "Yeah." He thinks you're trying to show him up because you have a gold and a silver pen in your front pocket. And I'm like, I'm not trying to show. I'm trying to get by, man. I'm just trying to survive here because we shot at in an area called Beaucourt, which is an old, it was French. It was going to be a big French hotel overlooking the Gulf of Tonkin. And, it's really cool, but it was kind of abandoned in mid construction 30 years before. And so we went up there and scouted, and Matt's like, "Oh, this is great. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. We got to do it. We got to make it happen. We got to do it." And so we had to send up a crew to check the area for mines. They found two. They found one. And so they had to clear it out, everybody get away. And then he did it again. They found another. So we had to demine the area 3 separate times and build a road so our vehicles, trucks, because you could get up there in one of those little Asian vans. But when you got to get equipment up there and you got to get lights and cameras and stuff, you need a road. And we had to build the road to get up there. And we had very resourceful, our production management team was Israeli. And they're very resourceful people. They turned a school bus into a makeup trailer because nothing was there. We had no infrastructure. We had to create the whole infrastructure. And it was really, it was fun challenge. It was fun challenge. Really enlightening to be immersed in that culture because I lived there for 5 months. So, and that's the beauty of making movies as well, which came later, when you're going to different places and you have to live in Africa for 4, 5, 6 months. You have to live in, London. You have to live in China. I lived in, I spent 8 months in China. I spent 5 months in Cambodia. I spent 5 months in Africa. I spent, 5 months in Budapest recently. I spent, 7, 8 months in London and 5 months on another time. You spend 3 months in Amsterdam. You spend 3 months in Sofia, Bulgaria. So you really get, you're there and you're living there.
And how is it, when you're filming in foreign countries and international locations, are you still in the universe of your movie all the time, kind of thinking about the movie, the film, or you do have time to go out and, make connections and meet people?
Yeah, you're trying not to really make connections because when you're going out, you're trying to enjoy the people, you're trying to enjoy the culture and get a feel for it. Yeah, I mean, I and Quentin went to a rave at the Wall, in China, the Great Wall of China. And, these are experiences that are, some people just get 1 or 2 of them in a lifetime. And I've had a lot all over the world, and it's thrilling. It's really kind of exciting and exhausting, but fortunately I was young, so there's no problem. Yeah. This is Lancaster, California. The great David Carradine, the cinema legend Bob Richardson there, the cameraman. I think he's 3 Oscars, and of course pregnant Uma. Not really pregnant, fake pregnant. Bill, it's your baby. It's your... There they are again. That's a set in Manhattan Beach, California. We built that, even though it feels like it's supposed to be outside on a terrace. We fooled you.
I do have a million of questions, but I really want you, our dear friends, to give an opportunity to ask your questions. As we remember, I will ask my colleagues to help with the microphone since we're online and it's important to talk to the mic.
Hi, and thank you for being here, for doing this. Thanks, America House. First of all, I got an idea for the last Quentin
What's your
Tarantino
name?
movie. My name is Pasha.
Hi,
I'm an
Pasha.
actor and movie blogger. After your stories, new idea for the movie when a young helper, first time on set, plenty in car accidents to become first AD. And the question is about your working chemistry with Mr. Tarantino. Can you fulfill all your creative skills as well, opposite to troubleshooting? Because I imagine that Mr. Tarantino is shooting, already shot his movie in head before shooting process. So are you able to, does he open to new ideas during the shooting?
Yes.
From you?
And from many qualified people around him. You know, he listens carefully. He's incredibly intelligent. I mean, he's ridiculous, off the charts smart. So he definitely does. You know, he's very firm in certain things, but he's open to other things. And most of the films we've done, you know, Inglourious Bastards has a very different ending than it was first written. I mean, it's the same basic thing, but you know, as we're approaching the end of the film, of the end of shooting, you know, we had a whole bunch of other stuff that was supposed to happen in that theater, and he's like, "I don't need any of it. I don't need any of it. I want to get it done. I want to burn the place down, get them out of there. The movie, the story's told. We got to get to the, you know, the Brad and Christoph. You know, we got to get to that. We got to get to the, you know, we want you to wear this. I think this might be my best work. We got to get to the end of the movie." So, you know, that was an interesting situation because we had taken Christmas. You know, we shot our last week in France, and then everybody went back home for Christmas, and we were coming back in January. I came back early because he was going to stay in Berlin to rewrite the ending. And again, here comes the yellow-lined paper, and he hands me 50 sheets of the yellow-lined paper. This is the new end of the movie. And I'm like, the fuck am I going to do with this? You know, because it was kind of part shot list, you know, with little specks of dialogue, you know, or it'll say improvisational dialogue and whatnot. So it was more a shot list outline, the paper like that. And fortunately, at the time, my daughter was in kindergarten, so I had become quite proficient with glue stick. And so what I decided would be the best way to make sure he understood what my plan was on a daily basis and be able to communicate it to the very, you know, German, you know, do it this way, this. I made a photocopy of all of the pages and started cutting each of the things, cutting each of them out and glue sticking them onto a set. This is January 3rd. This is our first day. This is what we're going to do. These sections. And then, of course, the Germans typed it out for them, and I handed his quintaglyphics to him. This is what we're going to do today. He's like, "Oh, this is great. This is perfect. Yeah, this is exactly how this is." And so, yeah, he's open to suggestions. But you don't want to wear out your welcome with that too, because then, you know, too many bad ideas and you get shut out. You know, the steel door shuts and it does not open. But he's also pretty clear. You know, he's got quite a vault of cinema in the back of his head too, because that's what it is too. You know, it's like when I read Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the first time. because that's the way we do it. You know, he'd say, hey, Bill, I got a script. Come on up, come on. So I drive up to his house in the hills, and I go and he says, here it is, and it's the one script, because you know, there's no electronic copies. There's no, you know, because it just doesn't happen like that. And you go out to the pool and you read the script, and you know, you see him looking through the blinds. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. He's like, you need another drink? You know, what can I get you? Yeah. How's it going so far? I'm like, it's fine. Get out of here, you know. And the thing, you know, I came back in and he asked me, so what'd you think? What'd you think? And I'm like, you know, for a fella who's made a career out of stealing ideas from all sorts of movies across this, you know, the whole lexicon of cinema, and putting them into a stew to make them your own. In this piece, you have taken all of your movies and put them into your own. This is the Tarantino epic of your own work from all of the movies that you've made. So that was kind of exciting and fun. But yeah, we have a very good. I get his ear. Funny thing about the in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we're shooting the scene with Leo, where he's the Western. He's in the Lancer Pro. He's on the TV program, you know, and he messes up his lines, and then he finally does the scene with the girl, with Julia Butters, and she comes up and she goes, "That was the best acting I've ever seen." Now, the day before, maybe 2 days before, we had shot Brad dropping him off at Cliff Booth dropping Rip Dalton off at the movie set. And that line from Brad, remember, you're Rick fucking Dalton. And that was improvised by Brad. So that wasn't in the script. That was Brad threw it out there. Quentin, that's great, yeah, this is great. And then, genius! This is something he likes to yell when he's very happy about something. And so a couple days later, we're doing that scene. We did it once, and it was great. It was amazing. Leo is a talent of epic proportions. And we're doing it again, and it was really moving. And I'm standing, you know, and the dolly's kind of moving. I'm standing right behind Quentin, and she says, "This is the best acting I've ever seen." And I whispered into his ear, "I'm Rick fucking Dalton." And Quentin goes, "Say I'm Rick fucking Dalton." I'm Rick fucking Dalton. And then Leo heard it, did it, and it's in the trailer. And that kind of, you know, that's, so yes, he you know, but it's taken 30 years to get that kind of, acceptance. I wouldn't just walk up to him and say, hey, you know, you really should try this. I think it'd be cool. Hey, you should write a script about an AD who plans car accidents.
Okay, I think there were questions, gentlemen in the green sweater first.
And then we move to the second. Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Clark.
What's your name?
My name is Yur. We actually met each other.
I'm
1 hour ago. Mr. Clark, you're a very artistic person, actually. And I'm filmmaker as well, developing satirical feature comedy about Ukrainian film industry and our society during the wartime. And if you're ever open to working on projects in Ukraine, I would be glad to stay in touch with you. But my question is about filmmaking, and what makes you look at the script and feel that it's actually shootable and worth taking seriously?
Well, you can achieve anything. First off, I mean, you know, I did a picture called Crank, and they had all, and it's one of my favorite movies, Jason Statham. It's really a lot of fun, and they had offered the AD job to 4 other people before they offered me the job. They interviewed, and nobody would do it because they thought, you can't do it. You can't do it in the amount of time for the amount of money that you have. And I was like, I came in like, we can, as far as I'm concerned, we can do anything, as long as we're all on the same page and we're all moving towards the same goal. You can achieve anything you want to achieve. And we did that movie on time, on budget, on schedule, and made tons of money. It was great. And they wound up making a second one because everything went so well, which was also fun. Different, but fun. At some point you have to get pragmatic and practical about things, but you don't never go in saying, oh, this is impossible. You find the solutions. And sometimes money causes you to find a better solution. I did a film in the early 90s, a wonderful film called Last Time I Committed Suicide, which is about Neil Cassidy before he joined the Merry Pranksters, and Jack Kerouac and the Merry Pranksters a couple of years later, 1946 Denver. It takes place in 1946 Denver. And the conclusion, the climax of the film, great music, by the way. Tyler Bates was the composer in one of his first films, and now he's a Hollywood legend when it comes to composing and score. And me and the director, Stephen Kay, who is now directing that television program called Landman, which has been quite popular in the United States and worth a watch if you have interest in Texas culture. It really gives you a feel for West Texas life in the oil industry. We had a night, Neil Cassidy is supposed to run from his tire plant back, thinking about all these different things that he's experienced before he leaves to ultimately join the Merry Pranksters, which you don't know, doesn't matter. But we didn't have the money to light. We shot 1946 Denver in Ogden, Utah. But we didn't have the money to light 5-6 blocks of night, for him to run through all this. And we didn't have enough cars. You can't use a Chevy Impala. You need an Edsel. It's 1946. You can't just drive a Pinto through the shot. It's not cool. It takes you right out of the movie. So we're trying to figure out a solution. Because we weren't worried about it early. It was towards the end of the schedule, and we were just happy to get started, get the production company pregnant, as you say, because now we're going. You can't stop us now. Now the wheels are moving. It's easy to stop before you start spending money, but once people start spending money, it's hard to stop the machine. It's hard to stop it from rolling. And we're just driving, and I just said, what if, this is before green screen, really, and all that type of stuff. The screen was still blue. It was just starting at that point. Like, what if we just put them on a treadmill? And we had, you put in other images. We put him on a treadmill, so he's just running, and you put in other images from the movie behind him. I don't know. We got to talk to Bobby, the cameraman, Bobby Bukowski. We got to tell you whether it should be on black or whether it should be on white or whether whatever it is, so you can superimpose different images. And with the music of Tyler Bates, with the camera work of Bobby Bukowski, and with the acting of Neil Cassidy, was played by the Punisher.
Which one?
The one of the first
Thomas
ones.
Jane?
Thomas Jane, with the performance of Thomas Jane. That cast has that was a very interesting cast. And Thomas Jane, Adrian Brody before any of his Oscar works, John Dahl, Marg Helgenberger. It really has an interesting cast. Claire Forlani, Gretchen Mol. And so we did that. We wound up being able to, would have had to have been 2 nights of very expensive shooting turned into a half a day on the corner of the sound stage, and with the music and the lighting and the performance and the direction, it's better than trying to run through fake 1946 downtown Denver at night. So never be intimidated by what seems impossible and find the solution to make it possible.
I was very asked here one more question, and then you guys.
Just a second. Hi again. I already presented, but I
What's your
don't
name?
have problem
What's your name?
to. Don't have problem to repeat it. My name is Kirilla. I student from film historian, second grade. I have the two questions. One of them is provocative in my opinion. First, first is which your favorite work, in your perspective, collaborate with Tarantino movie? So, which favorite work in movie when you collaborated? And second, I read it in forums like Reddit and various online editions like Hollywood Reporter. There are rumors that script, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is burned by himself. If you can confirm is true of rumor that the script is burned, Tarantino burned the script of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because
You mean set it on fire?
that written in Reddit and some online editions. Yeah.
Looks like fake
That-
news.
That would be news, yeah.
So please
It's
continue.
fake news. It's not true. You know, it was the greatest. He loved it. It was amazing. Yeah, I've never heard that before, and I don't know why he would do such a thing. You know, we certainly didn't shoot it. You know, we like shooting shit we set on fire.
I mean, he burned after premiere this film, this movie. This read it in the news.
Like he disliked it so much that he decided to set on fire his own script.
I don't know, but he maybe is.
Maybe we should call him and ask. Looks like.
Maybe he do that because when Tarantino written the previous script, The Hateful Eight, this script was leaked, and after this, Tarantino make a decision not share anyone in anywhere's own script. So it's have rumor about Tarantino's burned.
I have a copy of the script at home. So if he burned it, I still got one. So he failed. You know, he's got to come on over and burn mine too.
Okay, thank you. Maybe it's silly question, but I'm interested in this.
No, it's no silly questions, only silly answers, and leave that to me.
Thank you.
Okay, firstly, thank you so much. My name is Yulia. I'm video editor, and I want to ask you about what the best way to upgrade yourself professionally in film field. I mean, working on bigger project, like how to get into Hollywood when you're working on like short films, like not super cool films, but how to get to this big level.
Work.
Just
Work
working.
wherever you can.
Okay.
Whenever you can, wherever you can, especially someone as young as yourself, you know, money's second. You know, work. The more experience you can get, the more problems you can solve, the more ideas that will come to you. And the more you can, you know, just work. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman said a great thing one time about being an actor. He's like, it's a privilege when I get paid to act. I will take any opportunity to act that I can. If somebody gives you an opportunity to act, take it. Same thing about filmmaking. If you have an opportunity to work, take it. Work. And because you never know what it is that's going to lead you to the next person or the next connection. You know, it was the first Frozen Assets where I was an intern. That, you know, I went and did three other movies that were unrelated to that. But my first position as the third AD, second AD, which I did for one movie, was because of somebody I had worked for on that first movie. So, and I was abused. I worked for nothing. I lived, they didn't pay for my housing up there. I drove up there myself. I lived in an empty house that my friend was living in because they were going to renovate it soon. So it was like this big 10-room house with no furniture. We had a lamp and a refrigerator. That was all we had. And it was fine because I was 24 years old and I didn't give a shit about anything. So, and just work. You get a chance to work, take it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Artem. You have very good impression of Quentin Tarantino. Can you answer the next question in his voice?
Well, you know, it's not really what I do. But
So my first question is about your career. Like, have you ever thought about making, like, being director yourself? You know people, you know, like, you know actors, you know cinematographers. So probably you ever thought about it.
I've been asked a couple of times, and the challenge that I've had, you know, with that kind of thing, you know, when I first off, you know, I was hanging out at the beach and started making movies. You know, not Quentin Tarantino dreaming, thinking about movies the whole time, not Martin Scorsese watching every movie that ever existed through the 50s, 60s until he got an opportunity to make them in the 70s. Not, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson, who just won the Academy Award last month, you know, who were cinemaphiles from the womb. You know, and these are the people that I'm working with. Mark Pellington, you know, the Arlington Road director, filled with passion for the material, filled with that. That's what I thought you needed to be a director. You know, a lot of people aren't, but you know, I got used to. I got my hands dirty with, you know, the Tarantinos, the Pellingtons, the passion, the people who directing was what they wanted to do, and I loved the idea of helping them. So if I ever found material that somebody was to bring to me, because I'm not really a writer, but per se, you know, toy with things, but it frustrates me more than I really enjoy it. It just makes me go, oh God, oh, you know, and you know, I would need to feel that I have that passion that these people have, because that's my experience. And plus, I just loved, you know, I became a first assistant director within like 3-4 years of being in the business. You know, it happened fast. And there I am on the set of Jackie Brown, 30 years old, having been in the business for 6 years. And I'm on one of the bigger, you know, it wasn't the most expensive film, but it was one of the, if not the biggest movie set to be on at that time after the success of Pulp Fiction. So I just, you know, I found that niche and I loved it. You know, I really liked it there. You know, and even producing, you know, I'm not the, you know, I don't want to go out to lunch and bullshit with you. It's really not my bag, you know. Hey, you know, I don't want to say, hey, let's meet at the Soho House. No. If I'm, you know, I'd rather hang out at home, you know, go to my daughter's softball game and, you know, maybe play a game of baseball on PlayStation, then go to Soho House and hobnob with, you know, so, you know, and cut deals. You know, I like being in the trenches. I like making shit happen. I like working with all the people making, you know, in the, you know, who are making it happen. And so I just kind of have stayed in that way. I'd be a lot wealthier if I liked these other things. It would be much better for me. But you can't be as happy as I am. What's that?
Can I ask another question?
That's what you got to ask the boss.
You started in 90s and you work now, yeah, still.
Yeah, sometimes.
So how would you describe difference between old movies and how it made now?
Well, we always used film in the 90s, so now it's more of a oddity when we have the opportunity to use film. Quentin will still use film. I just did a movie with M. Night Shyamalan where we actually shot on film, and that's more of an anomaly now than it was in the 90s when it was expected. I mean, I actually was excited. I did a picture called The Anniversary Party, which was directed by Jennifer Jason Leigh and Alan Cumming. They co-directed together and starred in it. Amazing cast: Gwyneth, Jane Addams, John C. Reilly. Crazy cast, shot by the late John Bailey. And we had both wanted to do that project because it was digital. We called it digital at the time, with everything is now. But it had to be tethered to a deck and all this stuff. And so it has changed. That aspect has changed dramatically. And just the whole idea of that. Now you can run the camera for 10, 20 minutes. Not cut. People, directors sometimes don't even cut anymore. Just do it again, do it again, do it again. And they even walk in there, keep rolling. And, they do it again because it's just information and nobody has to pay to develop it, Whereas when I first started, we were collecting the short ends. If you had more than 100 feet left over at the end of the roll, you saved them in case you needed to do inserts. So you could reuse that film. You restring it and you put it back in the camera when you're going to shoot quick, something that doesn't take more than a minute. So that's the biggest change, really. But otherwise, it's still people doing the same stuff. Mostly people. AI is a whole different thing. Visual effects has helped a lot, made some things even more possible. Using, creating it instead of having, you don't have to blow everything up. You can just start the explosion and do the rest a little bit, but it's still fun to blow shit up.
Hello, my name is Kira, and
Hello,
I have
Kira.
2 questions for you. So the first one is, what's your favorite part of filmmaking? Is there anything magical or spiritual left when you for so long in big production?
Yeah, it's all magical. It's all spiritual. I mean, you're getting 200 people together for one goal, and you're moving towards the same thing. And when it works, and when everybody goes home proud of what they've done, and proud of the way everybody has worked together, and the director is happy with their project, and the producers are going to make a ton of money, it's still spiritual. It's still special. It's still a great thing. And every time it's different. I say every movie, well, that's the thing I haven't seen before on this movie. That happened early on this one. Because every movie there's something that I've never seen before. Something happens, there's a new problem to solve, a new solution to find, and a new something that is new. So
it's never like routine.
it's nothing is. These are castles made of sand. So they mold and they change, and they're always different.
Thanks. And the other one is, have you ever seen like any Ukrainian film, or have you worked with Ukrainians, and what difference in mentality do you see?
Well, I just worked with Olga Kurlenko, Ukrainian Bond girl. I did a picture called Afterburn with her, and sure I've worked with several Ukrainians, a couple of Ukrainian stunt guys I know. Even in that scene we did in the valley there, I remember there was a Ukrainian stunt woman. Her name escapes me right now. And yeah, I've seen Ukraine. I just recently watched the film about the city to the north, about the beginning of the war. That was a pretty good.
Авдіївка.
What's that?
About Авдіївка.
No. That's a documentary.
about
I've seen that too, but that's not.
Авдіївка, no?
What?
Авдіївка.
Divka. Yeah.
About, yeah.
But the guy,
Chernov's film?
Bucha. That's it, Bucha. But the guy doesn't want to be involved, and then all of a sudden he's saving all these people. Yeah, and it was good. It was fun, and I actually saw a film shooting on Crescatic a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago. I was like, what the heck is this? This is great. And they all thought I was nuts. They're like, who's this guy? Why is he so excited? I'm looking at the camera. I'm like, oh, you got a red, and this is, who's this? And they're like, get out of here. Get out. We're trying to make a movie. They thought I was nuts.
Did you tell them who you are?
They're working. They don't need to hear my shenanigans. I just said, I love it. I'm so happy to see it. They're like, okay, weirdo. Good. See ya.
Couple more questions.
So my name is Roman, and I'm wondering who is the most famous person in your contacts list?
Let's call him.
I don't know. Fame is relative. There's a lot of people in there.
Shall we go for the pictures?
My phone is back there, Sasha. Keep it there. Let's not bust out that list, okay? Because it could be over. Yeah, well, but these guys, they change their number so often. He was in the contact list, but it's been a little while since I spoke to him. That's the mechanic. Oh, that's my daughter. She's in my contact. She's the most famous person in my contact list. So, and I have a son named Roman too. Yeah.
Super cute too.
Yeah, that's Bradgelina. There's Bob again. This was the coldest day I've ever had on a movie set. This was
Hateful Eight?
This was the Hateful Eight. This was shooting the sequence where Django's shooting the snowman. No, this wasn't Hateful Eight. It was Django Unchained, where Django's shooting the snowman with Christoph. And when I showed up to work that morning, it was 24 below zero Fahrenheit, not Celsius, Fahrenheit, which is, I guess, probably 40 below.
Something like that.
Something
yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
around that.
People were crying. People were weeping. The guns were misfiring because the metal was so fucked them up, and the lenses couldn't focus because the glass was changing shape. So I had my Iditarod stuff. You can't see my shoes, but I had the Alaskan with the guys who race the wolves in the Alaska. I had their attire on, and so we put the glove in. We put the lens, the next lens we were going to use in my glove, and we put the guns in my other glove. And we ran electricity out there. And we shot that day with like 16 people because people were weeping. People were coming like, "Go back to the house. Go back to the cabin. Don't cry in front of me." And it was a great day. It was a beautiful day. Yeah.
Prepared you for Ukrainian winter.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. That's the Hateful Eight.
There was a very interesting story you shared with me and Sasha before the event about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and how you moved 3,000 people from one side of the boulevard to another.
Well, we shot Hollywood Boulevard. All of that was real. All of that was practical. Brad driving through Hollywood Boulevard. And it was very important stuff for Quentin in particular, feel like it felt when he was a child. And what was happening at the time is somehow, the film, you have to permit, when you're going to shoot. You have to let the city know you're going to come shoot. And we made lots of plans and all that jazz. But somehow people kept putting our permits online. And so people were showing up to wherever we would shoot. There was always, always some form of crowd management. And when we were shooting in Hollywood, especially at night, we knew there was going to be a whole lot of people to come. So we prepared accordingly. And yeah, those 4 or 5 nights we were on Hollywood Boulevard, we had 2,500, 3,000 people show up just to watch, just to yell, "Hey, Brad, love you, love you," and and we had to, we're shooting both sides of the street, so we have to embrace them because we're on their street. We're on the streets of Hollywood. You have to allow people to live even though they're there for us. So, what I had asked my team to do in hiring the people that were going to help us on those evenings is to find, entertaining people with charisma. Let's not focus on future filmmakers or cinematographers of the world, people. I want to get entertainers, even actors, if whatever it is, because I want to have each of these smaller groups of people pay attention to these people. I want them to make them laughing. I want them to to have their attention. So we're not just yelling at them to do this. We are going to create their cooperation through fun, and Quentin's great with that because I set him up and he gets to do a little bit of his shtick and they go, "Whoa, oh, that's great," and so when it came time, okay, we're turning around, we're going to shoot the other side of the street. We had those people, they were entertained, they were with us, they were part of us, and I was like, okay, now it's time to get everybody to the other side of the street. Let's go, everybody. So we opened up the barricade. We moved everybody to the other side of the street. And the police were like, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen 3,000 people in Hollywood move anywhere in 45 seconds. You did it in 45 seconds. So, it was, it's, you got to work with people. You got to work with people even when you're not working with people. It's a interaction that has to be embraced. You can't fight the current. You got to embrace the current and use the current to your advantage. And we were able to do that on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it's easy with Quentin because, he loves having fun. So he wants to have fun on his movies. And I just happen to be really good at that. I'm a lot of fun.
You are. From what I hear tonight, you have so much empathy towards what you're doing and people you're working with, actors, directors, of course. Do you think your position will ever be replaced by AI, who has no emotions at all so far?
Well, some of the people who do my job, I think, are already AI. But, because there's different people who do it different ways. There's the drill sergeant method. There's this, I want the people to I want people to come to me with their problem, not to be scared and hide their problem from me. So I'm very open with them, and I'm not a yeller and a screamer. A lot of people are who do my job, and a lot of directors like that. They want to feel that type of thing. It's just not my bag, so I don't do it that way. But my job is about managing people. So it's hard to have AI manage people. Yeah. So there's always going to be something if it involves other individuals of my position under all circumstances. I find it difficult. And I think, we're just going through a phase right now. Unless the machines take over.
We'll see soon.
I think we'll come back around. It'll all come back around in due time. You just got to Gotta ride the current. Don't fight it. Ride it, and we'll wind up downstream together.
Thank you. Maybe a couple more questions from the audience because we need to wrap up soon.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
My name is Serhiy. I got something. Sorry, I'm a little starstruck. A proud crankhead among all Tarantino fans. It must be a blast to shoot. So my question, it is: do you know, it's movies that you participated in that you've seen how they are created. It's collection of your own memories, basically. And for us, and there is dichotomy between it. It's like a work of art that we have with us that shaped us. And when you see these movies, when you go to the premiere or watch it on TV at home, how do you feel about it? Does it dissociate when you see it like a movie separately from your experience, or does it enlarge it in some way? How do you experience it when you see the complete movie?
It's you can't avoid the oh my God, I remember that day. Oh my, you can't avoid that. So, but like reading a script for the first time, you have to be very careful when you're reading the script for the first time, not to think, how are we going to do that? This is this. You want to read it to understand the content and get the story. You want to read it as a fan, as a reader of fiction. You try to stay away from the pragmatic how to, what, this, that. You'll get there. It's going to happen. So that's difficult to do when you're reading the script for the first time, but you make an effort to do it. It's the same thing on the back end. When you're going to watch, and oftentimes I get to see it before the final cut. So I'm going to be asked my opinion about certain things, and I know everything we shot, how did you feel about this? Did you like the way I intercut that? I went a little non-linear with that. I used that as a flash. What do you think? Is that cool? Did you like it? So you, in the same way, the first time you read the script, you're trying to read it as a piece of fiction, as a fan. You have to do the same thing when you go to watch the film at the end, and you have to fight the, oh, that's the day Susan got sick and threw up in the back of the van. That's the deal. We had to reshoot that scene twice because the camera had the scratch. You got to stay away from that. You got to stay in and try to be the viewer, be the fan, be the connoisseur of the material, as opposed to the how-to and then the what happened, on that day. So, but yeah, that's challenging. Yeah.
But also the magic, I think, that you mentioned before, right?
My daughter again. As my daughter all grown up now, she's
beautiful.
big, yeah. Oh, this is this and that. Talk about blue screen. Mm-hmm. This is what you call a gimbal. Mm-hmm. So this is even outdated now. Now these car shots are often shot on something called a volume, which this is where you take this and you put the background in post-production on a volume, which now is more current, really, and looks a lot better, almost like in the day in Pulp Fiction. You remember, and even in Kill Bill. That was called rear projection. Yeah. That was a rear. Oh, that's Man Called Otto. So there's Tom, right there. That's the director. Oh yeah, that's Tom. Director Mark Forrester. That's me, dressed the same as today. Rita Wilson, wonderful. Louise Rosner, great producer, produced tons of things. Great cameraman there. Yeah, that was a fun movie. Oh yeah, that's another movie. It's Back in Action with Fox again. The cameraman Ken Sung and Cameron Diaz back in Action is what she was. I'm wearing the same outfit again. What's going on here? And I need a stylist. Are there any stylists? I need somebody to teach me how to dress. This is a killer's game. The killer's game. That's a set. That's not. None of that's real. That's not a street out there. That's on a stage.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And you just build it a little smaller. So this set is really only about 25, 30 feet from the window, but you just build it a little smaller. So it has the Alice in Wonderland effect. So, it feels like it's 70 feet away as opposed to just 25 feet. You need to be able to just get the light, so you can get the light in the building and get the light on the set, but you don't need to recreate you can fake it. You fake it, And I did that on a picture called Beauty Shop. We had so little room on the stage that the production designer was like, I can only build the set, and I'm like, well, you can make it smaller. He's like, well, let's use the Alice. He's like, yeah, I know, but I can't. Then you can't have anybody over. You can't have everybody over there. I'm like, I'll just bring people who are under 5 feet. And I had, he's like, what? I'm like, I'll just ask the cast, I'll like background casting, and I'll ask them to bring me 15 people who are under 5 feet, and I'll have them walk across the street, and I'll keep the 4, 5, 6 foot people on this side of the street, and nobody will ever know. And if you watch Beauty Shop, it's Queen Latifah, Kevin Bacon, Alicia Silverstone, Margaret Qualley's mother. I can't believe I can't think of her name. She's amazing. Andy McDowell. Great, it's a silly movie, but it was fun. And you can't tell. I got this just as I got the little people walking across the street. Not little people, but short people. Just put short people walking across the street, and the depth perception, the Alice in Wonderland effect worked perfectly. So we cheat all the time. We fool people as much as we can. We love fooling people. I love it. It's fun.
I wish I was there. I would qualify, just to walk. Perks of being short. One more final question. Yes, gentlemen. Okay, 2 more final questions. Second question.
Hello, my name is Victor.
Hello, Victor.
William, when strong personalities clash on set, how do you step in without slowing things down?
Well, sometimes they have to slow down, and strong personalities do clash sometimes. And you got to roll with the punches, and you got to, try to calm it down. I've had to a couple of times to step in between people that are bigger than me, and yeah, it does. Sometimes it slows things down. Sometimes things slow down. You try to avoid it. You try to not let it kill momentum. You try to get back on track. And sometimes it's just the next day. Sometimes you just have to let it breathe. It happens. But you try to see it before it's coming. And it's largely, it's not because, you kissed my girlfriend behind the camera truck. It's miscommunication. It's so spotting the miscommunication before it happens often will stop those big conflicts of ego. But sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people do kiss somebody's girlfriend behind the camera truck. It's Hollywood, baby.
So, very final one. A little bit short person. One more. Should I stay on a chair? Okay. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ksenia, and Victor asked a little bit same question, but I should to say something.
If you say so.
Yes, I think so. Which advice you can give for a young filmmaker when you thought about in filmmaking, how we need to help me.
Take your time, it's all right.
Which advice you can give for communication with different people, because this communication is the most important part of filmmaking, I think, but it's the most different also. So.
Well, what most people don't understand about communication is really the most important part of communicating is listening. So you understand what people are saying, and you can communicate what they're saying back to them or to other people if it needs to be. And also so you hear what they're saying so you can tell them they're wrong. So you understand exactly where it is they're going astray so you can help them get back on track, back within the director's vision, or if they're working for the cameraman, within what the cameraman needs to do, if they're working for me, for what it is I need them to do. In China, I had to do that quite a bit. I learned the hard way in China. In China, people are very, the prideful. You want to save face is what it is. So I would say, hey, I need you to do this. Yeah, okay, good. And they'd go off, and 20 minutes later, I'm like, how come this? What happened? And I realized they didn't know what I was saying, but they didn't want to tell me they didn't know what I was saying because they were embarrassed that they didn't know what I was saying. So I learned a very valuable lesson that I not only use, in China, but I really use it all the time if I get the sense that people are shy or embarrassed or concerned that they're going to look like an idiot for not knowing what I'm asking them to do, when they're not. It's me who's the idiot because I'm not making it clear enough. So in China, I started saying, okay, now tell me what I'd say, I need you to do this, and they go, okay. And then I say, wait, what are you going to do? What did they're like, and I know, they know, I'm like, that's cool. See, now just tell me, you don't know what I'm talking. And then when I say, I explain it in a different way, slower or whatever it is, all of a sudden, you see their eyes, yeah, okay, and then it gets done. And that became a regular part of my working method in China. And now I really use it even when I'm speaking with people in English, because if people are prideful, if people have an ego or whatever it is, they don't want to admit when they're wrong, and they don't want to admit that they don't know something, or they don't want to admit that they don't understand something. So making sure that I'm not just assuming that they know what I'm talking about, that they understand what I'm talking about, and that they are going to do what I'm asking them to do or what somebody else is asking them to do, that is communicating in a more effective and productive way so everybody is working together. So just patience and listening is how you're going to communicate as young people and old people. And as young people, really, this is a tremendous opportunity. This is an amazing time. Everybody has their phone in their pocket now, and that's 4K. That's, ready for the screen. So, shoot something. If you have a friend who's an actor, a couple of friends, shoot something and put it on the internet and get lambasted, get told how terrible it is. So you learn. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing different things, trying different things, putting it out there, getting the criticism, taking the criticism, using the criticism or not. This is it's different than when I got out there, where you had to, find some money, you had to scrape some films together, you had to find somebody to borrow a camera. You can do these things now and try ideas and see if they resonate with people from all over the world. None of that was possible in 1992, none of it. So it's a great time to be a young filmmaker. I envy all of you.
Thank you so much for this absolutely incredible, inspiring talk tonight with us. Let's give a round of applause.
Thank you guys.
This one works. Okay. And if it doesn't, I will just scream. So, guys, important announcement. We do not say goodbye to William Paul Clark. We'll see him on Saturday. Please register. We will watch a Pulp Fiction together, and you will give us a little bit of commentary. We can discuss the movie together. I think it's one of the best movies in the world. So, you still, I think the registration is still open, right, Mariana? So we still have a few spots available. It's your chance. So please. Yes, like our pages. Find this event on our social media, and we're looking forward to see you on Saturday. And once again, thank you so much. Anything you want to ask this audience? Any final words of wisdom from you?
Everybody have a good time.
Thank you so much.